Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dream Cities Realty YouTube channel. I am Jalon Strong, the Essential Millennial Realtor. Welcome back. If you've been here today, you've already seen two videos. We did bingo to home ownership, step 10, earlier today. And prior to this video, I did the Let's Talk market data for DeKalb County. We're here to cover Gwinnett County. Before we do that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any content that we post or anytime we go live. Now, there is a link moving about at the bottom of the screen. You can utilize that link to find a lot of resources, educational material, as well as affiliate marketing that we have on our channel. The link is beacons.ai/Jalon Strong. You can find that on our social media pages in the bio, and I'll also make sure to put it in the description box of this video after it's completed. The first link I want to talk to you all about is Rent Reporters. Rent Reporters is a separate company that provides services that allows for your on-time rental payments to reflect on your credit report, thereby increasing your credit score. So if you didn't know, your credit reports do not already reflect your on-time rental payments. If you are someone that needs a boost in your credit score or would like a positive mark on your credit report and you're making on-time rental payments, you definitely want to go to the link moving about at the bottom of the screen, which is beacons.ai/Jalon Strong. Click the tab that says Rent Reporters. It will take you to their website where you can get started with them today. The next link that I'll talk to you about, which is also available at the link in the description or the link in the bio, which is also moving about at the bottom of the screen, is crownfirstlady.net. Crown First Lady is a separate business that I started where you can access First Lady scalp oil in the sample or travel size, which is 1 ounce, and the full size, which is 4 ounce bottles, where you can apply this oil that I crafted for myself, which became a request that others wanted to try and use. That's why I created Crown First Lady. And if you've been on this channel for a while, you already know where that name came from and why it's significant to me. But if you're someone that struggled or struggles with alopecia and you are looking to move into the hair growth phase of your journey, then I would suggest that you give First Lady Scalp Oil that is found at crownfirstlady.net a try. And I would love to service you by providing your orders to you. I'm the one that's going to make sure that it's prepared and shipped to you. We typically have shipments that are sent out and delivered in 2 to 5 business days. So make sure that you go ahead, go to crownfirstlady.net if you're interested in trying the First Lady Scalp Oil. It is a blend of refined essential oils. Again, I was the first customer because before it was a business, I was the only one using it. So I have been using it for some time and now I've made it available to purchase. So feel free to try the sample size or the travel size. And if you're confident in it, go ahead and get the 4 ounce bottle. I would love to service you as a customer with crownfirstlady.net. Now we're going to talk about the data for Gwinnett County. We've covered DeKalb earlier today in a separate video. If you're interested in that, please check that video out. Again, we did cover the bingo to home ownership series, step 10 today. You can check that video out in a separate video and got all the previous 9 steps in other videos in our or on our channel here. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the data that we're going to cover. And if you're familiar with our review of market data, you already know what I'm about to pull up and where it's from. I want to make sure everyone can see it, so I'm going to give it a moment. StreamYard looks like it's having visual delays. And when that happens, what I typically do is use the avatar. But I do need you all to be able to see my screen. Looks like you can see it, and it looks like the visual might be catching up. So here you see we are looking at the August 2025 first multiple listing service FastStats data for the zip code 30019, which includes Dacula and Gwinnett County. This is a zip code that we covered before, so I am going to review the data that you see on the screen, but I'm also going to reference July 2025 just to see what the latest trend could be month to month from July to August. We do have different property types that we discussed here. So first, we're going to discuss residential detached and all the metrics under that for month to month. Then we'll cover year to date. Then we're going to go to residential attached in the same fashion. If you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to leave them in the live chat. You can also come back on the replay and leave comments and questions in the comment section. If it is something that is confidential or private to you, I would recommend against putting it in a public chat and instead schedule a free consultation with me. And you can do that at dreamstokeysrealty.com, or you can use the link at the bottom of the screen, beacons.ai/Jalon Strong. Click the tab that says Let's Talk, and it will take you to the consultation page. If you schedule a consultation time frame and you do not appear virtually in that virtual meeting room on screen, you will incur a $15 no-show fee. That is non-refundable. So make sure that you're available at the time that you schedule for your consultation. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into the metrics. Again, we're starting with residential detached with the key metric new listings. For August 2024, it was 98. For August 2025, it was 107, showing a percent change of an increase of 9.2%, meaning we had more new listings this year in August than last year in August. Pending sales for August 2024, it was 51. For August 2025, it was 57, showing an increase of 11.8%. Closed sales for August 2024, it was 59. For August 2025, it was 48, showing a decrease, first decrease here, where it's about 19% of a decrease. So let's take a moment and just reflect on what this means. This means we have more new listings. We're reaching the stage of an executed contract, but we have some pending sales where we have not quite reached the closing table. We have more of those, and we have less closings than we did in August 2024. Let's look at what July had to say for July 2025. So let's scroll up. For July 2025, we had 100 new listings, 52 pending sales, and 74 closed sales. Let's see how that fared. So we had less pending sales. Less listings in July, less pending sales in July, and we had more closed sales in July. So here in August, we're doing pretty good. The closings are where there's a difference. There's less closed sales when we compare month to month, and when we compare July to August 2025. Days on market until sale. For August 2024, it was 32. For August 2025, it was 54, showing an increase of about 69%. This is a metric that sellers typically don't want to see increase. Showing that the property is going to stay on the market for longer is not what a seller typically wants to hear. But a buyer might be okay with this days on market until sale. An investor may not care one bit because they have the financing to move any way they might want. In a short time frame, in a long time frame, it may not really matter to an investor. It all depends. So here, it depends on your priority. This might look terrible to a seller, knowing that the property could potentially be on the market for about 2 months. That means that in the time that property is on the market, the seller is incurring more costs. They have to pay an additional mortgage. There's probably HOA fees. There's lawn service, there's maintenance within the home. There's so many things that are still their responsibility, whereas they would like to sell the home off and have someone else incur that cost. So let's look at what July 2025 had to say for days on market until sale. It was 44. So we have drastically increased over time. And we are higher in the days on market until sale in August than we were in July of 2025. Median sales price. Here we see the first asterisk. Everything that mentions price on this FastStats sheet, it has an asterisk next to it. This means, as we've heard in previous videos, that there are some exclusions. There are some things that can't be categorized or included in these metrics. One such thing is down payment assistance. Another is seller concessions. So those are areas in where there is some assistance to the buyer in the purchase of the property. Those methods of assistance are excluded in these numbers. So we cannot take them into account here. For median sales price for August 2024, it was $460,000. For August 2025, it was $472,000, showing an increase of about 3%. So we see the median sales price, the middle point of all the sales prices, is increasing. Here it's about $12,000. For the average sales price, again with the same asterisks, we see August 2024 was $493,074. Then for August 2025, it was $551,228. This shows an increase of about 12%. This is the average sales price. So if we lined up all 48 closings and divided those sales prices by 48, we should have the average sales price. Now, again, we're seeing an increase, but more significant in an increase. Now, like with the median, you already know the median is the middle point. So there are numbers below and above. The average, same thing, but the calculation is just different. There are numbers below and above. So keep that in mind, that if you are someone who is looking to buy, you have a pre-approval letter, maybe you want to utilize the knowing of the median and average sales prices to help gauge you if this is the appropriate zip code for you to search in. But again, keep in mind, there are numbers below and above. So you could still find a property that fits your budget, even if the median and average sales prices are higher than expected for you. Hopefully that makes sense. So there's a property out there for you. It may not reflect, or don't take the median and average sales prices to deter you from looking in the market if you're really considering that, but be aware of what these numbers mean. The median is the middle point and the average is what it is, the average of all those numbers in that point. Percent of list price received for August 2024 was 97.8. For August 2025, it was 98.2, showing an increase of just under 0.5%. Now, here we look for the numbers in theory to be closer to 100. We do see that August 2025 is the closest of the two. And the 100% mark tells us that the list price would match the sales price. If a home is priced accurately, in theory, it should sell at that price. There are a number of factors that come into play in the negotiation table for each property. So we don't expect a perfect scenario, though at times we have seen, when we reviewed these, the market data for these different markets, that at times we have seen 100% or more. And again, that's with these asterisks. So these numbers are moving in an upward direction, and both numbers are quite high, close to 100%. Let's look at July and see what the difference was. So median sales price for July was $522,500. Definitely dropped in August because we're at $472,000. So that median sales price point did drop significantly from July to August of 2025. For the average sales price for July 2025, it was $546,408. For August, it was $551,228. So we're increasing, if I'm not mistaken, we're increasing from July to August of 2025. So median sales price decreased and average sales price increased when we look at July to August of 2025. Needless to say, look at your pre-approvals, look at your price points, and really figure out where you fit if you're looking to buy a home in the zip code. Now, the inventory of homes for sale for August 2024, it was 196. For August 2025, it was 287. These are some big numbers. And typically, we don't see these big of a numbers when we look at residential attached properties, even year to date. And we're going to talk about that later on. But inventory of homes for sale is showing us that we had a great number of homes for sale in 2024 at this time. And it's even greater getting to this point in 2025. And the percent change is almost 46%. So we have a great deal of inventory, and we're still doing well on new listings, pending sales, and closed sales. Even though we took a drop with closed sales, we're still doing well. but it may be that we have so much inventory as to why maybe the buyers are taking their time a little bit more as we're seeing the days on market until sale increase. So that could be a factor as to why that days on market until sale is taking so long. Month supply of inventory for August 2024 was 3.2 months. And for August 2025, it was 4.8 months. So we have more supply on inventory to the point it would almost take us 5 months to sell all that inventory with nothing else being added. That's a 50% increase. Now let's look at July and see what July had for inventory of homes for sale. It was 279. And for month supply of inventory, it was 4.8. So we are exactly where we were in July for month supply of inventory, and we have increased slightly for inventory of homes for sale when we get to August 2025. Now I'm going to pause and see if we have any questions. I don't see any right now, so we're going to move into the year-to-date data. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them in the live chat or the comment section. Especially if you're on the replay, you can leave it in the comment section. Again, if you have something private or confidential that you would like to talk about, please schedule a consultation with me so you can have that one-on-one time with me for up to 1 hour to discuss your home ownership journey. Now let's look at the year-to-date metrics. Through August 2024 for new listings, it was 767. Through August 2025, it was 893, showing an increase of 16.4% for new listings. So we had more new listings this year to date than last year. For pending sales year to date through August 2024, it was 538. Through August 2025, it was 498, showing a decrease of 7.4%. So more new listings, less pending sales. Now closed sales through August 2024 was 527, and through August 2025, it was 497, showing a decrease of about 6%. So year to date, we're seeing more new listings in this zip code, but less pending sales and less closed sales. Now let's look at days on market until sale, which is the cumulative days on market for each property. Through August 2024, it was 37. Through August 2025, it was 43, showing an increase of 16.2%. This is showing that our days on market is getting longer year to date, but not as long as we saw when we looked at the months. So this might be closer to neutral, not quite significant enough yet on paper to say it's a buyer's market, but the month to month look more of a buyer's market. The year to date looks more of a more neutral market. But as we continue to review data, we want to see if there's a trend here and what it looks like moving forward year to date with the days on market until sale. We want to see who has the advantage, who has the time to kind of be more of the card holder, so to speak, when you look at days on market until sale. Now, median sales price, again, this is an asterisk area. Through August 2024, it's $460,000. Through August 2025, it's $475,000, showing an increase of 3.3% in median sales price. So there's an increase across the board, month to month and year to date for median sales price. Now, average sales price, we saw through August 2024, $513,931. Through August 2025, it was $527,401, showing a percent increase of 2.6%. So we see year to date, as well as month to month, that the median sales price and the average sales price have increased. Percent of list price received through August 2024 was 98.9%. Through August 2025, it was 98.4%, showing a decrease of 0.5%. And both numbers are still quite high, still quite close to 100%. Not much to take away here. Our percentage year to date is higher than our month to month percentage looking at August 2025. So we are still in a good place with the listing price and the sales price being quite close together. Again, all three of the last categories have asterisks, so there are some things that can't be considered in these categories. Now I'm going to pause and see if we have any questions before we move on to residential attached. I don't see any, so we're going to speed through. We're going to go on full steam ahead through residential attached properties. So all the metrics we reviewed thus far in this video have been relative to residential detached properties where properties are not connected. Now we're about to look at the details for residential attached properties, meaning exactly what it says. These are properties that are connected to one another. So With new listings for August 2024, there were 4. For August 2025, it was 2, showing a decrease of 50%. Just like we review for any other video you've seen on this channel, when it comes to residential attached, the numbers are much smaller, which makes the percentages much bigger. That is the trends across the markets that I service. So it's no different here. It's not much that you can take away when the beginning number is 4 and the ending number is 2. So not much there, but a 50% drop nonetheless. Pending sales for August 2024 was 2. For August 2025, it was 4. So we have a reverse situation in the pending sales than what we had for new listings. That shows an increase of 100%. For closed sales for August 2024, it was 2. For closed sales for August 2025, it was 4, matching what happened with the pending sales, which shows an increase of 100%. Now let's see what happened in July. For the same category, so I'm going to scroll down. For July, we had 5 new listings, 3 pending sales, and 3 closed sales. So we had more new listings in July than we have looking at the August 2025 data. But August did better with the pending and closed sales than July did. Excuse me. So now let's look on days on market until sale. For August 2024, it was 49. For August 2025, it was 66, showing an increase of about 35%. Again, this is a metric that a seller probably doesn't want to see increase, but a buyer or investor might not be mad at if it increases. 66 days on market until sale means over 2 months of additional payments that the seller needs to make on that home because the home has not sold yet. So the seller might not be the happiest about that, depending on their financial positioning. And an investor or a home buyer that's looking to buy a home to live in might think this is great. So it's all relative to your position. But 66 days is more of a longer time than the traditional closer to 30-day mark. Let's look at what July had. For July, for this category, it was 64. So we're just about where we were in July, but 2 more days. For median sales price for August 2024, it was $397,490. And for August 2025, it was $410,945, showing an increase of 3.4%. Again, the median is the middle point, and this metric has an asterisk. So there are some things that are not included here that regard assistance. What we see here is that the median sales price has increased since last year for the same time frame. Now let's look at the average sales price. For August 2024, same price as the median sales price for that year, $397,490. And then for August 2025, slightly different. Average sales price, it was $410,130. So that shows an increase of 3.2%. So the median and the average sales prices have increased in this category, as well as what we saw in the residential detached category. Now let's look at the percent of list price received. For August 2024, it was 100%. So those 2 closings, it was what was listed is what was sold. Again, we have some asterisks here, so we can't assess anything that was assistance. And then for August 2025, it was 97.8%. We had 4 closings at that time. So maybe there was some difference between those closings that contributed to the drop there. Nevertheless, that's a 2.2% drop and not much difference because both numbers are very close to 100%, one being 100%. So there's not much to take away here, especially with such smaller numbers with the closings. Now let's look at July to see what happened with these price metrics. For July 2025, the median sales price was $369,900. That is definitely lower than we saw for August 2025. And for July, they had 3 closings. For August, they had an additional. For July 2025, with the average sales price, it was $383,937. Again, August is higher. So with the median and average being higher for an additional closing is what we're seeing from July to August. And then July had a difference in percent of list price received. It was higher at that time at 99.4%, where here in August, it's showing 97.8%. So the sales price numbers were higher in August, but the percent of list price received was higher in July. Now let's look at the inventory of homes for sale. For August 2024, it was 5. For August 2025, it was 13, showing an increase of 160%. Again, with such smaller numbers, the percentages are going to look more drastic. But we have more homes in the market in August 2025 than in 2024. For month supply of inventory, we see that the month supply of inventory for August 2024 was 4.2 and 3.4 for August 2025, showing a decrease of 19%. So it would have taken just over 4 months to sell the 5 properties in August 2024, and it would have taken just about 3.5 months to sell the 13 properties in August 2025. So when you put it in that perspective, you think of the pace of the market, right? And with that in mind, it's a potential there for the homes to sell faster based on the pace of August 2025 than of August 2024. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's look at July and see what it had in 2025 for these areas. For July 2025, it was 16 homes for sale and 4.4 months supply of inventory. So we see that the inventory is selling faster, even with more homes for sale. So that's something to note. And again, these numbers are so small that it makes the percentages so much more statistically significant. And it's hard to say if you can feel these changes in the market because of the small numbers that they have. Let's look at the year-to-date data before we look at the graphs and close out this video. So if you have any questions, this is the time. Make sure you put them down in the live chat or in the comment section. For new listings through August 2024, it was 13. Through August 2025, it was 45, showing an increase of 246.2%. That is a massive, statistically significant increase. And I would say that's something that possibly could be felt in the market. Year to date for pending sales through August 2024 is 5 or was 5. And through August 2025, it was 37, showing an increase of statistical significance at 640%. That is statistically significant. And I would say you could probably feel that in the market if you're paying attention to these transactions, or if you're involved as a real estate expert at any point in these transactions, or if you're just looking at the data. Now, closed sales mimics what we see for pending sales, so I won't review that again. But essentially, what we see across these 3 metrics year to date is that we have more than enough inventory on the market compared to last year. And then also we're closing faster or more than we did last year. For days on market until sale, year to date through August 2024 was 26. Through August 2025 was 52, showing an increase of 100%. Once again, depending on who you are and what your priorities are for the property or for a property, this metric might be a metric that you cringe at, and this metric could also be one that brings you peace. So depending on your perspective, you might see peace or anxiety here. Nonetheless, the purpose of this video is to bring things like this to your attention. So if you're in a position to make a proactive approach to your homeownership journey, that you have the opportunity to. Needless to say, 52 days on the market is a longer time than you might traditionally see, but it's shorter than what we saw for August 2025. So there could be some grace coming up in the future months where this days on market until sale is potentially going to shorten. It also could potentially get longer. Who knows? So we'll find out when we review future data. Median sales price through August 2024 was $408,000. Through August 2025, it was $390,000, showing a decrease of 4.4%. So here we see that the median sales price year to date is decreasing. But when we looked at month-to-month data, it was increasing. So that's a difference there. For the average sales price, we see a similar trend. Through August 2024, it was $409,996. Through August 2025, it was $400,750, showing a decrease of 2.3%. The average and the median sales prices year to date have decreased. Again, we have an asterisk, so we're not taking into account any assistance, but this is a decrease across the board year to date. Now let's look at percent of list price received, which is the last metric for year to date. For the percent of list price received through August 2024, it was 99.1%. And for August or through August 2025, it was 99.2%, an increase of 0.1%. Not much difference here. Both numbers are quite close to 100%, which is the theoretical goal here. And there's not much to take away. Year to date, that's pretty good. Now let's look at the graphs at the bottom. They both are reflecting the median sales price, but for different property types. The one on the left is for residential detached, which is the first table that we reviewed overall. It's on a rolling 12-month calculation. And then the median sales price for residential attached, which was the last table of data that we reviewed, is represented on the graph to the right. Again, on a rolling 12-month calculation, which means as more data comes in, the old data is flushed out. Now, if you look to the graph on the right, the graph on the left, which is residential detached, we see that both of these lines are moving in a similar trend. The gray line is all MLS. The green line is this zip code 30019. We see that they're moving in a similar trend, though they do not touch, and that they almost have like identical space in between them at all the points. We see that the all MLS line is at the bottom at all times, and this zip code is above it, meaning that it has a higher median sales price at all these times. We also see that the gap widens as we cross 2023, and also even after that into 2024. Nonetheless, we do see that this kind of reflects what I was saying before, that the markets that I service, the buyers typically are looking for residential detached properties. So it makes sense that the median sales price is higher here than the all MLS. Now let's look at residential attached, the graph on the right. We see something a bit different, and the gray line still is the all MLS, and the green line is the zip code 30019. But we do see that at certain points they connect. And they kind of flatline at some points because, like we saw with the data, there are very small numbers here, and there may not have been anything to measure in those timeframes because of lack of sales. So we see some flat points, and we see that they cross at different points in 2015 and just in 2017. We also see another crossing at 2019. After all of that, we see that the all MLS stays below this zip codes line, and the zip code has some bumpiness to it, but it does create a bit of a distance from the median sales price of the all MLS. That is a slight difference than what we saw when we looked at DeKalb County, because we had one graph that it was clear that the sales price was higher from the zip code, and we had another graph that it was clear that the sales are always or tend to be under the zip code, under the all MLS. Here we see that when we end these graphs, both the residential detached and residential attached median sales prices are above the all MLS. So that is a slight difference than what we saw with DeKalb County. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back to the screen and just see if we have any questions before I end the live. If you have any questions on the live or later on the replay, make sure that you put them in the comment section. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on other social media platforms. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, Substack, TikTok, and of course here on YouTube. We would love to have your support on all of our social media pages. We would love for you to share our content to those that you know are interested in this type of content, or to just put it on your page as you share information on social media. We would love to grow our network and to also improve and enhance the education that we have available to customers of real estate, especially in the residential areas. If you're someone that's interested in using a real estate agent to purchase or to sell a home, particularly in Gwinnett or DeKalb counties, I would love to service you. So please go to the link that's moving about at the bottom of the screen, which is beacons.ai/Jalon Strong. Click the tab that says Let's Talk. From there, you can schedule a time to meet with me. And that will give you a 1-hour window to talk to me about your specific goals and journey in home ownership. I'll let you know what the next steps would be, what I can do, what services I do provide, and then you can make the decision if I am someone that you would like to develop a client real estate agent relationship with to find the home that you're looking for or to sell your home. If you're someone that knows that you're not in the areas that I service, but you still need a real estate agent, make sure that you text the word referral to 770-758-5641, which is our business line. We will contact you and start the referral process. That does include paperwork, so we will need to review the document with you so that you can feel comfortable to sign it. Once you have signed that paperwork, giving us permission or myself permission to find a real estate agent on your behalf, I will give you a window of time. Typically, it's 24 to 48 hours to find that real estate agent for you for the services that you need. And then I will contact the both of you to link you together so that you can go forth and find the property that you're looking for or to sell the property that you have. If there are no questions, I'm going to end the live. Thank you all for joining. Again, we did cover a lot today in different videos. So here we covered Gwinnett County. Earlier, we covered DeKalb County. And before that, we covered Bingo to Home Ownership Series Step number 10. So there's a lot that you can get from this channel. Please feel free to take advantage of the education that we provide. If you have any ideas of anything that you would like to see on this channel, make sure that you put that in the comment section, and we'll look to make sure to kind of add what we can on this channel to pique everyone's interest in regard to residential real estate. If nothing else, thank you all for joining. Thank you for coming to Dreams to Keys Realty YouTube channel. I am the Essential Millennial Realtor, Jalon Strong, and Dreams to Keys Realty is where your dreams turn into keys. Have a great week. I'll see you in the next video.